Welcome back to the Bridget YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll learn how to make this beautiful cape with spiral effects on the hem. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to make this, we'll be working with with this type of boning, but I just want to show us another type. So this is a regular boning that you can sew on, while this is a plastic boning. The difference is that you can actually sew this while you cannot sew on this because it is thicker, it is stronger than this. Okay, so you can do this directly on your fabric while you need to create a channel for this. I'll be using this for this tutorial, but I'll also be explaining how you can work with this if this is what you want, because this actually gives more structure because it is stronger. So now I'm using this satin fabric for my cape, and it's a very simple tutorial. So this is a requested tutorial and I'm just going to be illustrating it. So in the thumbnail that we have there, we have 2 layers of cape. So the difference is just the length of each of the cape. The radius remain the same. So to know the radius that you're working with, you need to measure around where you want to place this cape. In my case, I'm placing this around my shoulder. So anywhere you want to place this, you need to take the measurement round so that I can get the circumference that you are going to use to calculate your radius. Okay, so for the flare that we're going to be working with, I'm going to work with a 180-degree flare. So that's a half circle flare. It's not going to be a full circle flare. And the formula for calculating the radius of a half circle flare is the circumference. That's where you want to place this, divided by 3.142. It's a constant. So for me, the circumference I'm working with is 38 inches. So that's the measurement of that place that I want to place this cape. 38 divided by 3.142 is giving me around 12 inches. So to fold my fabric for a half circle flare, I'm going to fold the fabric into 2 first, so you can see how I'm folding it. Okay, so I'll fold this into 2. Then after folding into 2, I'm going to fold like a cone in a triangular form. So you fold your fabric like this into 2, and then you bring the end of this to the other end like this, so that it can form like a triangle for you. So this is what I have now, and the next thing I'm going to do now is to take the measurement for my radius. So for my radius, 38 divided by 3.142 is giving me 12 inches like I said. So now I'm going to measure these 12 inches from my origin, which is the starting point here. So from there, I'm measuring 12 inches round. And then after that, you need to decide how long you want this cape to be. So in this case, remember, it's a 2-layer clip, like a 2 flare, double flare. So the shorter one is going to be on top, while the longer one is going to be below it. Okay, so I'll just check what I have here left, and that's going to be the length I'm working with. But you need to decide how long you want your cape to be, so you need to measure that. So for me, I have 8.5 inches left here, as you can see. I hope it's okay. So I have 8.5 inches left, so I'm just going to measure the 8.5 inches round from where my radius stops. So I'm measuring my 8.5 inches round, after which I'm going to cut this out. So now there are several ways you can actually prepare your fabric for this. If you're working with a fabric that is very soft, you can add interface to this. But if you're adding interface to this, it means you have to, so like I was saying, if you're doing interfacing for this, you need to cover it up with a lining. So now I'm cutting out my radius, and this is what I have now for my cape. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead now and sew my boning to this. So to sew my boning, I'm going to sew it to the hem of the flare. So to sew it, I'm just going to place this boning on the right side of the hem like this, and then I'm going to sew on this line that we have here. So I'm going to place it on the right side and sew it, and then I'm going to turn it and then sew it down. So what this means is that because I'm not adding lining to this, by the time I'm done sewing it, this boning must have concealed the edges of my fabric for me. But it also means that the boning is going to be showing externally like this. So if you don't want your boning to be showing, it means you have to create a channel for it, or you just line it. So if you're working with this type of boning that you cannot sew on, what you just need to do now is to cut like a bias that is going to be the size of this boning there, because it cannot be smaller and it cannot be too big. If it's too big, if it's bigger than this, the size of this boning, it's not going to fit into it. It's not going to be too tight to give you that structure that you want. So you need to be sure of the measurements you're working with, and then you use that to create a channel. Okay, or if you can just fold this, but it's a bit difficult to fold flares, especially for beginners. So you can just use your bias to create like a channel, and then you sew it down. So once you sew it down, you then insert your boning through this channel, just like this. Okay, so whichever one, or you just cut a lining, then when you use your lining to turn it out, you just sew on this part. Now when you use your lining, after cutting your lining, you use it to turn each other out, and then you just sew on the upper part here, so that you can have like a channel where you can pass your boning through. So whichever one you want to work with is fine. So now I'll just take this to the machine now, because I want this to be a very simple and short tutorial, and then I'm going to sew it. So after sewing this, I'll bring it back so that you see how I'm going to turn this. Okay, so as you can see, there are two lines here, the first one and the second one. So the one close to the hem, that's the one I'm sewing on. Okay, so you just place your machine and make sure you don't match this part. You sew on this part that does not have the dotted lines. If you are matching this part, your thread will keep cutting. So you just sew on that part and you keep sewing it straight like that. So after sewing it, I'm just going to turn it over. You can trim off this excess seam allowance that you have, or you just leave it, and then I'm going to turn it over and then sew on this other line. So by turning it over, you can see that it has concealed this neatly for me, but this is going to show. So I don't mind this showing. If you don't want this to show, you can create a boning channel for this, or you can use a bias to cover this part, or you just use your lining to cover it. So now I'm going to keep sewing this, and then if you're also using 2 layers, remember I just cut this is 8.5 inches, so you can make the second layer around maybe 4 inches, so that it will have like 4 inches difference between it, but your radius is going to remain the same, because both of them are going around the same circumference measurement. I've sewn it completely now. The next thing I'm going to do now, you can see what I have. I'm just going to bend this over now, and once I bend it over, I'm going to sew on the next line that I have there. So it is bended now. I'm just going to place it under my machine, and then I'll start to sew it. So you should use a matching color of thread for this. So you just fold it, drag it so that it's not packing anything there, and then you continue to sew. So you fold it, drag it like this again, and then you sew. And when you're sewing, make sure you don't match this, so you can see how neat it is, and this is what it's going to look like on the right side of the fabric for you. So you can see what we have. So now that is what I'm going to do, and then this is exactly what you're going to be doing to the second flare. Okay, the other one that you want to place on top of this, you use this same method to add your boning to it. So I'll do this now and bring it back to you. So now I've added the boning completely, and you can see how neat it is. So you should make this as neat as possible, and you can see the effect that this boning is giving my satin already. So now the next thing now is to cut the next layer that will be around here, and then you just reduce. So the next layer will stop around here, and then you reduce the length that you're working with for your flare. So you just place them on each other, and then you sew it round where you want to sew it. So you can see what boning does to this. So I'll just hang it up on the mannequin so that we will see what this looks like. Okay, so this is what the cape is looking like now. You can see the effect that this boning is giving to this on the hem. So if you're doing 2 layers, you just need to cut another one exactly like this but shorter, and then you had your boning around it. So I hope you enjoyed making this tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.